Hello. This is the last episode of the Flow with Grow podcast in 2022. That is wild. Like, I remember it was just yesterday when I was writing my goals for 2022, and it was the beginning of the year, and just, wow, it went by so fast. Today is a special episode. I have a special guest, and she's actually a current client of mine. We've known each other for a long time. My gosh, like 6-7 years-ish, maybe. We share more about kind of how we met, how we started working together, and the journey that she has had from the very, very beginning to when we just started working together again, like 5-ish months ago, and things that she has done to help her with her goals, her health and fitness goals, different strategies that she's implemented, kind of the plan that we have set. And I'm really excited because she has really transformed a lot in these past 5-ish months. A lot has changed for the good, for the better. And she was shocked by some things, surprised by some things. And so I'm excited to have her come on and you listen to her story. Now, this is actually straight from the Facebook group because I do live trainings in there, and I had her in there where we talked about this, and this is coming straight from that. And I don't have my video editing program thing working yet, so I'm just going to upload it straight from there. It's just as is, very raw and real, and no edits at all. By the way, if you're not in that group, it is a group on Facebook called the Food Freedom and Muscle Building Solutions Facebook group, and it's really all about helping you to improve your relationship with food, helping you to build confidence in the gym, build muscle, move closer to your not just your weight loss goals, but your fat loss goals, and really just give you as much value as I can in that group, and really focusing on those things and helping you to overcome that constant yo-yo dieting and that all or nothing mindset. And so if you would like to be a part of that group, you can either find the link in the show notes, or as always, you can send me a message on Facebook or on Instagram. And I would love to have you. It's such a great community and so many people who have similar goals. So it's just nice to have that accountability and, again, that community around. And if you would like to connect with Brittany, I will also link her social medias in the show notes. So that way, if you have questions or you just want to congratulate her, whatever it is, you can reach out to her. And that's that. Let's jump right into the episode.
That never happens, but like right before this, I was like, oh, I feel like I'm gonna forget. Okay, so really quickly, whoever's listening to this recording, specifically on the podcast, this is a special guest who I've been working with for like 5-ish months, but also we go way back to when she first started while I was at Anytime Fitness. I'm gonna do a little intro before this, so let's just go right back to where we were, because this is the beginning anyway. So I'll let you keep going.
Yeah, so I started doing group classes with Sophia, and she convinced me to do this. I was super skeptical about it. And I can't remember if I started off with like one of the first challenges that you guys were doing there. I think that was maybe how I started it off. So I started doing a challenge there, and I was doing group classes, I think 4 to 5 days a week. And one of the days was PIO. And then, that first challenge at the end of the however many weeks it was, I don't know if it was 8 weeks or 12 weeks or what it was, but I was one of the winners, and I had won a JBL speaker.
Oh, that's right.
I'll never forget that, because I think that was kind of a turning point for me in taking care of myself. And then we kind of grew closer as I started doing PIO with you once a week, and like it just made it fun. Like working out was fun.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I totally forgot about PIO. You were like one of my PIO peeps. Gosh.
Yeah.
I still need to get that going because I've been wanting to do it. But that's super awesome. So that was like kind of a turning point. Was it a turning point because you realized throughout the challenge how you felt because of things that you were changing, or like in what way?
Yeah, it was in like how I felt like I was taking better care of myself. Like I was nice to lean on you and have somebody to kind of support me. And then it made it so easy. Like I felt like before that, when I was going to work out, I had to be there for 2 hours. And when I was doing classes with you, I could just come for 50 to 60 minutes in between classes and like get that done before like 3:00 we even hit. So it was just like a nice way to start building that routine.
Yes. And I remember too, after we kind of got to know each other, you went through kind of a mental, like, I don't know what to call it, emotional, mental, challenging time, with all the, just what was going on. And just to see you like in that time frame, just to see the growth that you had was like, and like the energy and just like everything was so cool. That's one of my favorite things about what I do. And I just loved it. So fast forward a little bit. So you left Anytime, and was it because you moved away, or like what was the time frame after that? What happened?
It was because COVID hit and then school kind of shut down. And then I decided to move back to Minnesota.
That's right.
So
okay.
I had to leave.
Okay. Yep. So then from that point to before we started working together again, like a few months ago, what happened? What, like, were you working out? Were you doing like, kind of give me the in between there?
Yeah. So when I moved home, I was kind of struggling, like trying to find a job with everything shut down, like didn't know what I was going to do. And then I ended up working for my family's company. I worked construction on a crew. And that summer, I didn't work out at all, like outside of work, but the work that we were doing was very strenuous. I lost over 20 pounds in like 3 months, just because you're working in the heat and it's really tough work. And then after that, I worked at Target, and I had like got a gym membership, but I would only go like once every couple of weeks. I was trying to get more comfortable in the gym. Like, I think every time that I've gone back to a gym after I've left for so long, I have like a little bit of gym anxiety. I'm like, oh, like, I don't know, like, are people watching me? You just have to get more comfortable and like keep going and pushing yourself to go. So after that, I worked at Target. And then last year I started working at High County Public Health. And I think just working there in general has inspired me to take better care of my health so that I can pour better into the people that I serve as well.
Nice. Awesome. So then, okay, I wrote down gym anxiety. We're going to go back to that in a little bit here, but, when we started working together, or I guess before we started, what led you to do that? What kind of brought you to me, and, kind of tell me more about like how that began for you.
Mm-hmm. So I think this summer I was just feeling really uncomfortable kind of in my clothes. I know I wasn't feeling confident in myself. And I think I was really struggling because part of my job is to preach well-being and preach healthy eating, active living, that kind of thing. And I'm like, well, it's really hard to teach that when I'm not necessarily doing all of that myself. So as soon as I was thinking about this, I'm like, I really need help with my nutrition. I thought I was overeating. And as soon as you posted, it was like the same week you posted on Facebook, and you were saying that you needed people to sign up because you were getting a nutrition certification or whatever you call it. And I was like, yep, this is the time to do it.
Yeah. Isn't that funny how things just like work out? Like, you think of something, you need to like do something, whatever. And then like, bam, opportunity right there. Yeah, it blows my mind how that happens. But yeah, so for anyone listening who doesn't know, I haven't posted about this yet, but I did get certified. I passed. So it's through the Nutritional Coaching Institute. And at the end, instead of taking a test, I needed to basically, like, it's kind of like a report type thing, but the way that they pass, or like not necessarily fail you, but like have you do it again, is through experience and knowledge and applying the information versus a test. And so I had to get at least 5 people to help me through this. So for 3 months coaching people, and you were one of them. And you had a lot of success in those 3 months, and we will 100% get to that. But before we do, was there anything that you were like worried about, or were you like 100% just like ready to do this? And that, like, in the beginning of the 3 months, not necessarily when we kept going, but like in the very beginning, did you have any fears, worries, anything at all?
I was skeptical of, like, after we did like kind of the assessment, like what you were going to say, like what I was going to have to do. And then I think it's just fear of failure, because I've let myself down a lot when I've started working out or trying to reach these goals. And it was always because I wouldn't remain consistent, but I also didn't have anyone to keep me accountable as well.
So the accountability factor, yeah. Do you feel like that has been like a huge? Like, yeah.
I mean, even during group training years ago, like I think you were what kept me coming, because you all were keeping me accountable. Yep. Like I didn't want to let you guys down, and I didn't want to let myself down. So I showed up every single day.
Yep. Yeah. It's so much easier. I tell people all the time, it's so much easier to let yourself down than if you have someone that you have to like be held accountable to. Like we don't want to let other people down, but we will let ourselves down, which is like mind blowing. And I think like through like having clients and talking to people and whatever, like, yeah, we need to, people struggle with nutrition and with like the relationship with food and with like not being able to lose weight and whatever. And like, there's all these things that like the missing pieces that we need to do. But like, I feel like the main one, what people struggle with the most, but they don't maybe realize it, is accountability. Like if you have that accountability, you're more likely to succeed and to keep going. So I'm so glad that has really helped you. So then in the beginning, you had mentioned that you thought you were eating a lot. And after going, so whenever I have someone come in, like I have you track for a few days, 5-7 days, whatever it was. And I think it was like, I mean, it was under 2,000. It was maybe like 1,200 calories they were eating, or 1,600.
It was like 900 around there.
Oh yeah, it was less than 1,000. Yeah,
it was less than 1,000.
It was like 800 calories. Yes.
Yeah.
And so then, so I was, this like green light is gonna annoy me, but I was kind of talking through the reverse like eating, where we eat more first, and like kind of the plan for you of increasing calories, increasing food intake. Were you scared by that?
Yeah, I was, because this whole time I've been like thinking I've been overeating. So I'm like, why would she make me eat more food? And then, yeah, like just being afraid of gaining weight or like putting on more fat, or like feeling even more uncomfortable like 2-3 weeks later,
Mm-hmm. And how did you feel instead when you started to eat more?
I have so much more energy now. I feel so much more like awake. And I remember last year when I started at my job, I was yawning all day long. And I'm like, why am I yawning so much? And I seriously think it was like a deficiency of something, or not eating enough food. Mm-hmm. And now I'm energetic. Like I'm so ready to get up in the morning. I have energy to go work out after work. I'm pretty productive like all day. And It's because of eating more food and actually fueling my body, and like looking at that as fuel instead of, like bad stuff or that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yep. For sure. And I'm sure you're drinking more water too, a little bit. I think that
way more water.
Yeah. So then I know throughout the first 3 months that we were working together, there was maybe like a solid month where you kind of had some challenges with, just what happened with family stuff. And so how did you get through that? And what made you keep going? Like you could have easily been like, nope, I'm done. What made you keep going?
Well, first off, it was accountability for sure. I remember when I was going through that hard time, we had one of our calls, you just let me like cry it out and talk it out. And then we set like our plan, like what we talked about, like, what are we going to do to get through this? And it was, for me, it was to get back into routine. It was to start focusing on myself again, start eating my like regular foods, like prepping for the week, taking care of myself, and making sure I'm moving throughout the day.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I was gonna say something, but I can't remember now, just left my mind. But I think that just like talking through what you were going to do next too. Like I remember like being like, okay, like this is okay that this is happening. And this was something that you didn't expect, right? Like it was kind of like solid month where you didn't, and there was like multiple things I feel like that happened.
Yeah.
Which of course, that's like how it happens. I feel it's just like multiple things at once. You didn't expect it. You thought, okay, I'm gonna have a good 3 months with this, but no, you had 1 month where it was really challenging. Didn't expect it, but like we talked it out, and we just moved forward. That's like really all you can do is move forward. And I think, for sure, having that accountability helps. So then let's see, so within the 3 months, let's talk about that. By the end of the 3 months, how did you feel compared to when you first started? I know you mentioned a little bit already, but like, is there anything else that you can think of?
Yeah, I mean, even now, like my mindset has changed to be so positive. I just feel more energetic, like I feel more lively, and it almost makes me emotional talking about it because like you just think back to just a couple months ago, you're like, oh, like I remember like how down I felt, like the way I was talking about myself or like talking about my body. And actually this weekend I was with one of my friends and I just thought it was so cool that she had like recognized this. We were getting ready for the day in her bathroom and she has like two different sinks. And I just like put on like this new outfit that I got and I was like feeling super confident in it. And I was like, oh, I just love how this looks on me. And she was staring at me through the mirror. And I was like, what? Like, what's wrong? She's like, I'm admiring how you're talking about yourself right now. Because in June, we were in that same bathroom getting ready for a wedding. And I was just like ripping myself apart. And so it's just like, so like almost like humbling, I guess, for her to like recognize that. And you don't really realize when you pour into yourself how it also affects others, like other people in your life. So that was really, really cool. Mindset for sure.
I'm like gonna burst with happiness. Yeah, wow. It's like that. Yeah. And when someone recognizes that is so cool. And then that can also inspire like them too, other people to change how they talk about themselves, and wow, that's like probably one of my favorite things that has happened to you. Like,
yeah, it's really cool. Like the physical aspects are super cool too. And like changing my eating habits and focusing on whole food. But I feel like mindset plays such a big piece in it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when you say mindset, it's more of like how you talk to yourself.
Yeah. How I talk to myself, like kind of how I just kind of like act throughout the day. Like I'm definitely like, I felt like before I was a positive person, but now I feel like I'm even more positive because I'm more positive towards myself as well.
Yes.
And not just others.
Yes. So what do you think brought you to that point? Like, was there one thing specific? Was there multiple things? Like, did you use any strategies to like change your mindset? How did you get to that point?
I think kind of as we've just been going through this process and like habit stack, like I always talk about habit stacking, like first when we started, we were only focusing on nutrition. That was the only thing I wanted to work on. And then I started like slowly working on movement. I was just walking. And now I'm to the point where like I love to go weightlifting. And so I think it's all of that combined, like focusing on like working on myself. It just, I don't know. I think it just magically happens. Kind of the better you feel about yourself, like your mindset shifts.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. And I think you're right. Like just the little things adding up and then just the habit stacking along the way. And I know there have been times when like you said that you wanted to focus on like journaling or like take time for yourself. Like I think that plays a role. So it's like all of that. And yeah, I was going to bring up the fact that like we only focused on nutrition right away. And you sent me the workout program that you planned to do. Like you planned to do this, you wanted to, but then like along the way in the beginning, it was just something that you didn't want to do, or it wasn't as much a priority, or maybe it's the gym anxiety, whatever, but you were still, walking a little bit. And I think that that's really key. Like, I think if people start too much at once, it's just too much. Like you got to go at your own pace, and it's okay. Whatever that pace is, there's no, right or wrong. But yeah, now it's so cool because now we're working on nutrition, but also you're lifting and also improving with that. And yeah, that's so cool to see. And going back to gym anxiety now. So how did you overcome that?
So what I did is I would show up to the gym. Like at first I'd be so nervous. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's like 4 people in there. Like it's a small gym. They're going to be watching me. And kind of as time has gone by, I've caught myself going like one more day a week. And like 2 weeks ago, or was that last week? I went 5 days. I'm like, I have not done that in like 2+ years. So it's just like continuously going and like recognizing that nobody's probably watching me. Nobody probably cares that I'm even like in there doing my thing. And then as I've kind of been going there, I've been getting way more comfortable with the exercises that I've been doing, like trying different things. And I don't know, like I've been having fun and like for me, like, I think the reason why that program, like, I don't like stick to it is because I'm always so worried about like, oh, doing this, and this in one night. But I think just going and like choosing, like, I'm going to do back and biceps today, or chest and triceps. And like, I make it fun, like it's enjoyable, and it's not something that stresses me out anymore.
I love that. That's key. That's important. Like, you have to make sure that you're going to enjoy it, that you're going to look forward to it. Otherwise, if you don't look forward to it and it's just more stressful, then you're just, you're not going to do it. And I love how, like, in the beginning, like with this too, you started small and you just like slowly did more and more. And I think one thing too that people, listening, if you have gym anxiety, can help is like having the mindset. And I think you did this too, but like having the mindset that, okay, you have this anxiety, but like doing it, even though you have it, like I'm sure when you started and you just went for that little bit of time, or just, starting small, did you still have a little bit of that gym anxiety going on, but you did it anyways?
A little bit, but I think what the thing is too, for some people, and I think even my friends, it's even like getting through the door, like, relieves that. Like, I know there's been so many times I've showed up, sat in my car, and I have all this anxiety. And the minute I walk in, I'm like, oh, like, I made it. I'm fine.
Yeah. Like,
I don't know why.
That's interesting. That makes sense. Yep. And I mean, I've like told people before to just go and like, just have the goal of walking on the treadmill, and that's it. And like, maybe next time you do the squats, or just do one exercise, or whatever it is. But yeah, those are some key points there. That's good. I didn't even like some of those things I didn't even think about. So I'm glad you shared that. And like, now you're like 100% confident, like no anxiety anymore.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's talk quick about like nutrition wise. So I know we increased food, but what changes did you make like specifically within your nutrition, and how have you been able to still eat foods that you love, like without restricting foods?
Yeah. So I really, since we've started, I've focused on eating whole foods, but also still enjoying the foods that like I might crave one day. Like if I want pizza, I'm going to fit that into my macros and I'm going to eat pizza that day. I'd like this whole time I have not restricted once, which is like so cool to me, because I feel like there's so many people that even on like my social media, they're trying to like cut calories like in every way possible. And I'm like, now that I've gone through this journey and been like, oh, like I was under eating, like I just think how many other people are stuck in that, so definitely focusing on like having fruits. I'm not a big fruit person. I love vegetables. So I usually focus more on vegetables, and then take in a green supplement as well. And then I always have like chicken or beef, some protein source on hand. And then I always have rice in my cupboard, and I try to switch out. Like it's easy to just like switch and make different combinations with different vegetables, or have a different carb this day, or have a different protein, and I don't get sick of it.
Yep. Okay. That was my next question too, was like, how do you what's your meal prep strategy or whatever? And how do you keep it from not being boring? And is there times where it's boring and you like, how do you know when to change it up? Like, tell me more about that process for you.
Yeah. So for me, what works best is I do a grocery pickup. Sometimes I do like a large grocery pickup, so I'm stocked for a couple like weeks, and then I just have to pick up some things here and there. But I like to plan out like certain weeks, like I'll eat chicken, or certain weeks I'll plan to have like beef, whether it's like making like a hamburger, or like making it like into pasta, or throwing chicken in the crock pot. I like to look up different recipes on Pinterest and switch it up, because I don't know anyone that wants to eat chicken and rice like 30 days in a row. So I think keeping it like switching it up that way, and then also still enjoying pasta, enjoying potatoes, eating pizza, going out with friends, like there's no reason why like you shouldn't be enjoying doing that.
Right.
And like still living your life.
Yeah. Yes. 100%. I agree. See it as possible to eat what you like and to still reach your goals.
Yes.
So for anyone listening, we decided to like count and track macros, which is the protein, fat, carbs. And the reason that we decided that, so like in the beginning, we kind of talked more about like I like to ask people like, what's your like kind of like having to be your way? Like, what is the way that you feel like is best for you? And first off, how's your relationship with food? And like, have you done this before and whatever? And right off the bat, you told me that your relationship with food was pretty good. Like you already had a pretty solid relationship with food, and that you've tracked macros before and you liked it and you had good results with that. And so that's why we decided to do that. And you're still having a lot of success with that and you love it. And it's working out good. So I think it's important to make that note. Do you use a food scale? What app do you use? How do you, do you track like the day before? How do you do it for you?
Yeah. So I use, well, first off, like starting out, it can be kind of like stressful, like getting back into that routine because I hadn't done it for so long. But now that I've been doing it for like a while, it's just like habit for me. But I use the My Macro tracking app. And then recently, I probably like the last month and a half, I switched to using a food scale to weigh my food out, which does not take much time. And it like maybe would take like 5 minutes, like, for a meal. So I weigh my stuff out and then I enter it into my app and it tells me how many fats, carbs, proteins are in there. And then you can also add in foods that maybe you can't search on the app, which doesn't take long because once it's in there, you can reuse it. And now that I've been doing this for a while too, like a lot of my same meals that I like to eat, my same breakfast stuff is in there. So you can copy and paste it to the next day. Or like say I'm going to have a breakfast sandwich Monday through Friday because that's what I'm going to eat on my way to work. Like I can just copy and paste it. It takes not even a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I like that app too. And yeah, you're right. It definitely takes it's like a learning curve at first. Like it took me a while to get the hang of using an app, using a food scale, tracking it. And to be honest, sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. Sometimes it was like stressful, sometimes not, but it helped me with my relationship with food. And then also now that I've been doing it for a while, like it is easy to just like put stuff in, and then it's nice having the saved foods in there already. And I was going to say something else, but I can't remember what it was now. Yeah, I think it just kind of comes down to like knowing what is going to work best for you. And if you're open to trying it, so I remember what I was saying. To me, it's kind of like a game. Like
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, it's like, which is like crazy because this was never a thing. But within the past year, when I like just doing it more, it's like fun to try and hit the protein, the carbs, and the fat.
Yeah, I think so too. And for me, I think the hardest challenge like so far has been hitting the carbs since we've kept upping those, and then the protein. So it is fun to be like, like, what can I incorporate today that's going to make me hit that goal? Yeah,
it's like you just want to do it. It's just satisfying when you get close to it. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. What were your thoughts? Okay, no, we talked about that. Is there any other strategies or anything that you have used or implemented, like when it comes to anything, whether it's mindset or with meal prep or anything? Is there any other strategies that you've used to help you in this journey?
Yeah, I've definitely kind of like my Sunday nights are my days to like prep for the week. Because I think when I'm prepped Sunday and I like have even just like a little bit of planning for the week, I think that I set myself up for success, not only in my personal life, but my life at work. So I'll have like my plans for like what I'm going to eat this week for lunches at work, what I'm going to have for breakfast. And sometimes I've even prepped even just like my snacks for the week. I'll prep those. Like I know a month ago, probably I was doing like bento boxes. So on Sunday I would cut up like meat and then I'd like weigh out the crackers and like put cheese in there. And it's just something easy to grab and go. And even just having like snacks in your bag. Cause I know there's going to be weeks at work where I'm so crazy busy that I'm going to be like driving or like not have time to take a lunch. So at least I'll have something I can snack on until I get home and can make a meal.
Yep. Nice. What do you think?
I guess,
sorry, go ahead.
I think another one too, I think you taught me this kind of right from the start is like prioritizing sleep, because you can't function well or like do anything else if you're running on 2-3 hours of sleep. And I think I strive to hit 7-8 hours because I know I need 7-8 hours to be a good person, like be nice and like have my life together.
Yeah, for real though. Like it's crazy when I don't get enough sleep. I feel it. It's, oh my God. Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah. So. And it can like wreck your whole week. Like if Monday, Tuesday, I have like 2 hours total of sleep, like the rest of the week's probably not going to go good.
Yeah. Yep. It's still like going to be there. Yep. I agree. What do you think has been the biggest challenge, or like if there's been multiple challenges, during the past, well, now it's been like almost 5 months, I think, but, is there anything that sticks out in your mind as to biggest challenges that you faced?
Yeah, I think like shifting the mindset to like when Friday, Saturday, Sunday comes, like you don't stop working on your goals. I think I've been really good at this. Like even when I was on vacation, I was like making sure I was like drinking water, or like making sure I would still have like my vegetables and stuff, or take my supplements. Even like traveling, like I'll bring my protein with me, I'll pack my greens, and just kind of be mindful of like what I'm eating. Like I know like what's going to make me feel good no matter what restaurant you go to with your friends or whatever. Like I know what's going to make me feel good, and I know what's going to make me feel like crap the next day. So I think it's just kind of being mindful of that, being mindful of what your plate looks like, and like recognizing that just because I'm away from home the next 3-4 days doesn't mean I have to stop working on my goals.
Yes, I love that. And I'm like, anytime you tell me that you're going out, like for vacation or a work trip or whatever, I just love, and I always ask you too, like, are you worried about anything, or what are you gonna do to prepare? And I love that you are prepared and you are mindful, like you're always just mindful of the choices, kind of like the things that are easier to do when you're away, like the drinking water and just being mindful of choices when you go out to eat, and like still being active or going on walks or whatever it is. And I think a lot of people struggle with that. Like they struggle on the weekends, they struggle when they go like out of town and things like that, like mindset wise, and also like actually doing different activity, like doing the things. But it's possible. And like, it's your goals don't like, it's like, it doesn't know that it's the weekend. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, and also like having the mindset too, that like, I remember I shared this a while ago, but like changing your mindset from like weekday and weekend to just like all days, like that's kind of what helped me, because I remember I would restrict on the weekdays, and then come the weekend, I was like, oh, the weekend I'm just gonna have like whatever, and then get back on track Monday. But like that's just like a horrible cycle to stay in. So if you don't restrict ever, like even on the weekdays, that's what helps on the weekends too. And that's one thing that's helped me.
Well, that was one conversation we had too about like Christmas this weekend. You asked if there was anything I was worried about. And I was like, no, like I'm still going to enjoy myself. I'm going to have my favorite peanut butter blossom cookies if I want it. But I think now too, because I've never restricted, like I don't feel the need to have 20 cookies in one sitting, like I'll have one or two and I'll feel good about it still.
Yep. Yes, exactly. Was there anything that you've been surprised by throughout the past 5 months?
Well, I guess, me not giving up is one, because I've gave up so many times before, but I think too, because like I've built trust with you in the past, like I knew I could trust you, and I knew you were going to not give up on me and you're going to hold me accountable. But also, we've only increased my food intake, and like my progress pictures are insane. And I remember the last picture we took, I texted you my pictures that morning, and I told you, I was straight up. I was like, like I haven't really been feeling good about my body. Like I'm feeling like fluffier than I was a couple of weeks ago. And then you sent me my pictures from July until October, and I was like, holy crap. Like I didn't even realize like that my body had changed like that.
Yep. That's like, so for anyone listening, like we take progress pictures. Right now it's once a month that we do it. And that's when you do like the weight and body fat and muscle mass and things like that with the scale or whatever that you use. But also it's important to note, I think that you already had a pretty good relationship with the scale and with food and like your body and stuff. And yeah, we did do it from the very beginning. But because of that, like, because you had the healthy relationship with those things, like I felt good about doing that, about weighing once a month, and we don't do it weekly, just once a month. And because it just helps it's not that one picture is like better than the other, but you have goals. Like we gotta, and I would rather go by pictures than just what's on the scale, like the scale number. So it's a way for us to measure that progress. And not only that, but like you were surprised by that. If we didn't take those pictures, we wouldn't have known that those changes, because you see yourself every day. And by taking them, then we put, we do put them side by side, so kind of compare a little bit, but had we not done that, you would have had no idea. You would have been like, well, I feel like I'm going backwards or whatever. So it's kind of like a little bit of momentum push forward too, just a little bit, so.
Yeah. And the thing was that I had stepped on the scale that morning and I didn't like that the scale had gone up, and I was like, oh, great. Like automatically I'm just like talking bad about my body. And then to see that is like, okay, this is why we don't focus on the scale, like just on the scale.
Yes, exactly. And the pictures, so, we can't see them right now, but over time you can see that you're doing the same posing, same clothes, same angle, everything. And it's like you are getting leaner and just, and just, I don't know what the right word is, like, I don't know, smaller, leaner. But you can tell. And I don't even know exactly like the stats of like weight and body fat and things like that. But to me, it's like, it doesn't really matter as much because you can see in the pictures and with how you feel and like your energy and confidence. And like, that's what really matters. I think that's what matters most, because that's like going to be the momentum and stepping stones that are going to help you to, reach the, any goal that you have. But yeah, we're continuing to increase food, and I don't have my notes in front of me, so I don't know exactly where we're at right now, but eventually like the goal is then to go into a fat loss phase. Like right now I've talked about last week, or 2 weeks ago, whenever that was, seasons, phases. I know we've talked about that, having its phase where like we are increasing food so that we have somewhere to go from. If I started cutting you from the very beginning, that would have been like 400 calories.
Yeah.
That's not a good thing. So yeah, so I'm excited to see like how much we do and accomplish. It's super exciting.
Me too. Another thing that I thought of that I was surprised about is how you've taught me how my energy levels will be different throughout the month, depending on like what week it is for me, like my cycles and stuff. That was one thing that I wish I would have known during like high school, like during sports and all of that. I think it would have made like such a huge difference in the way I was feeling, like my emotions, like the workouts that we were doing, like certain weeks. Like that is just mind blowing to me.
Yeah, I know we're not taught that like growing up, and it sucks. And I just like learned it within year to year. I don't really know, but yeah, like it's more important to look at like month to month of the weeks versus like week by week. And then once you start to know yourself, know your body, know when those energy levels are kind of coming and going, when you have your period, when you're on your cycle, and then you can adjust things accordingly. And also it makes you feel less crazy, makes you feel not crazy, because like I remember being like, why am I feeling this? Why am I such an emotional roller coaster all the time? Like, why during this time of the month I'm like there's always one. I always knew that there's one time during the month where I'm like super emotional, like more emotional than normal, or like irritated, or like I don't want to do my workouts, like I feel bloated, like more productive, less productive. And yes, it has everything to do with cycles and hormones and like all of that. So I'm really glad that that's a big takeaway that you've had. It's awesome. What else? Let's see. Is there anything else that like you wanted to say or talk about? I'm just going to like briefly look at my notes right here quick, but okay. And if anyone's watching, you have questions, please comment. I know Becky said congrats. I think that's pretty much all the notes that I had. Is there anything?
Oh yeah, there was one takeaway that I like have thought about like so much the last, like even just like 2 weeks. You probably saw me post this on my story the other day. It was like being stronger than your excuses. And I feel like I've always made so many excuses, or like I've been surrounded by people that like always makes excuses for why they're not doing this, why they're not doing that. And I feel like throughout this journey, I've learned like now is the time to invest in myself and like create these healthy habits. And like, I'm like a full believer that like every day is a gift and an opportunity to be better than you were yesterday. So like my advice would be like, is if you're having goals that are like creeping up on you, like you're constantly thinking about them, but you're not doing anything, or like maybe you need help. Like I think even just accepting help and like realizing that it's okay to have somebody help you with your goals is like a huge, huge deal.
Yes. That's awesome. I agree. And I think that it's something that like goes back to the accountability piece.
Mhm.
And I think this can be related to like anything in life. Like I remember after Anytime Fitness trying to grow like my own coaching business, well, I realized that like I need help, like I need structure and more organization and systems and like whatever. So I've invested in that help. So even like with having a coach for health and fitness, like it's okay to not go out alone. And actually it'll probably, not that it's a shortcut, but I think that'll speed up the process.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Has there been anything else in your life that has changed as a result of all of this? Anything else that you can think of other than what we've already talked about?
Yeah, I feel like I've been pouring into my own clients at work better because I feel better about myself. So I'm like, and then I can preach from my experience, like the things that I've been doing that they can do or incorporate into like their workplace or their lifestyle. So I would say that. And then I think when you feel better about yourself, you take a look at the people around you and you realize like who you want by your side, the type of people. Like I think you attract people that kind of like do the same things as you or like have the same vibes as you, like have the same outlook on life as you. So I think in that way, like my life is just much more like wholesome and like I love the people that are around me like at this current point in time.
Absolutely. Yes. So much can change just by like making one decision or just by changing. It's like a ripple effect. Like you start small and then it just like you keep adding more things that you're working on. And then it's like along the way, like, bam, that's changed. Like, different things.
Yeah. Even something as small as like the way you're like treating yourself. Like, I feel like if I treat myself really well, I'm probably treating my friends like even better, because you just want to be like that positive person in people's lives. And it just makes it easier. Like when you pour into yourself, you pour into others much better.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes, for sure. And like, I feel like even if someone hears that all the time over and over again, like you don't actually truly get it or understand until you go through it
until you go through it. Yeah.
Yes. Understand. Yes. Has your relationship with food changed in any way? Or, because I know that you had a pretty good relationship in the beginning, you don't restrict anything, but has there been any changes at all through this?
Yeah, I think that I look at food more as fuel now. Before, I don't really think I looked at it as fuel. And now that I'm like trying to put on muscle and lose body fat, and now that I've seen the benefits of eating more food, like I've definitely learned the importance of making sure I have enough protein, carbs, fats, and like taking care of my body.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. Again, it just takes going through it to kind of like understand it and see and feel the results and the changes to help you keep going. So, all right. Is there we'll just kind of wrap it up. Is there any last words, or like if someone's listening and you want someone to have a certain takeaway, like what would be a takeaway that you would want someone to hear? You said many. I feel like there's so many already.
I know. My biggest one is like, if there's something holding you back, like I would seriously like invest in yourself. I think there's so many people that put everybody else before them. And I don't think it's selfish at all to like work on your health, work on your fitness, like take care of your body. Yeah, that would be my takeaway, to work on yourself. And I'm someone who's constantly like seeking growth. Like I want to improve, like at work, I want to improve in my personal life. I want to improve like spiritually. Like I even do like journaling. Like that's something that I also started incorporating. And I think the more that you are investing in yourself, you find like other things that you're like, oh, like I could work on this a little bit, or maybe I want to start incorporating that. That's what I would say.
For sure. I love that. Yeah, that's so true. I think anytime I've invested in something in my growth or in whatever it is, I've never regretted it.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. I like investing in myself too. So, all right. Well, that's it. I think we did it under an hour. Nice. Thank you to everyone who is watching live or on the podcast or the replay. If you ever have any questions, just reach out to Brittany or post in the group, whatever. But thank you to Brittany for coming on, sharing your story. Yeah, so far, your journey so far, your process, your progress. I really appreciate it. It's been fun. I'm excited.
Thank you for having me.
Yay. Okay. We'll see you guys when we see you guys next time for live training, and have a good rest of your night. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Flow with the Grow. I'll see you next week for your daily dose of positivity and growth.